welcome everyone. I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces. This is actually year 4, but Festival 5. I can't believe we've made it. 5. I could go on and on, but I have limited time. Our team is amazing. We have an amazing team of women. I love every single one of them. We would not have a festival without Kelsey, Esther, etc. I'll probably start crying and should wait until the last night of the festival. I feel like it's already the last night. So tonight is a very special evening, as everyone knows, and I wanted to thank UNLV Boyd School of Law for sponsoring the reception. That's going to take place immediately after, thank you, UNLV School of Law. After the interview, all in honor of Susan Anton, our Nevada Woman of Achievement for this year. And without any further ado, I want to let everyone know, first of all, the reception will be starting right at 7. After the interview, that I want to introduce the amazing J.J. Snyder from the Morning Blend. Everyone welcome J.J. Snyder.
Everybody, we're all here tonight because we have a special place in our heart for a woman named Susan Anton. Can you hear me now?
She's the 2019, Susan is the 2019 Nevada Woman of Achievement recipient. Bravo, Susan.
Samantha was saying it's a man's world, all I could think of is a man's world, but a women without a woman or a girl. Right? A woman's point of view is vital. It's vital to tell the full story of who we are as people. Not to say that I wouldn't sometimes not go along with the off-color joke because I desperately wanted to fit in. I wanted to be the good girl. I wanted to be liked. You know, so there's layers and there's different levels of sexual harassment. And you can tell, you can feel it in your gut. And if you feel that something is not right, then it is imperative that you stand up and you speak up. And now you can, because the unification of this movement, that you are not alone and you won't be ousted. You know, because people have got your back. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So that was from a panel just almost 1 year ago tonight here at the Nevada.
Yeah, the hashtag #MeToo movement had just really taken flight. And so it was really fantastic to be on that panel where I met JJ. And I think some other women that are in the room tonight as well.
Yes.
So it was a thrill to be a part of the festival and to have that conversation. And we have made a lot of strides since then in that whole arena. My God.
A lot has happened.
A lot has rolled, so to speak.
You really lit up that panel. You kind of led that panel. And I think what occurred to me is you are a very, very strong, confident woman. It's exciting to be around female energy like that for other women, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Well, you know, I appreciate that a lot because as a girl growing up, that was the opposite of what I was. I was incredibly shy. I was very, pretty insecure. And the thing that I've learned as I've traveled through life is that somewhere inside of me there was always that little voice that said, no, you can do things. You really are capable. So don't listen to the noise around you. Listen to what you know to be true, that's in your heart, that's telling you, go for this, you can do this, you can do that. Don't talk yourself out of it. So I appreciate that now today, sitting here 68 years later, that I've grown into myself.
Certainly. And I have to wonder, growing up, you had 5 children in your family, growing up in Yucaipa, California, just northeast of Los Angeles.
Yep.
Who instilled that voice, or was it just naturally in you as a child? That you can do this.
You can do this. Well, you know, my mom and dad were always very supportive. So I was raised in a household with a lot of love and encouragement. And then, you know, I was really lucky that my high school boyfriend was an incredibly supportive guy. And he's still a dear friend today, all these many, many years later. And he was a very confident young man, athletic and a good student. And so when I shared with him that I wanted to sing, and he said, well, there's this local pageant that's going to happen, and they're looking for talent portion. I think you should do it. And I was like, no, you can do it. So Keith was always that, and now, of course, my husband, Jeff. But you know, to be quite serious too, about 20 years ago, I really started my spiritual walk, and I think that listening to the voice of the higher calling from God, and knowing that dream, those dreams that are put in us, they're not accidental. They're there because we're built to honor them. We're built with the tools to be able to fulfill on it. So if you listen to that higher voice that we all have, I think that would be my guide.
When you had that high school boyfriend and he said, Susan, you love to sing, why don't you go out, and you tried out for a pageant, which is not something that had occurred to you, but it seemed like kind of a natural path because you knew you loved singing. And lo and behold, you had some success in the pageant circuit pretty quickly.
Well, it was funny because there was this local pageant. I'm from a little town called Yucaipa, California. And down from Yucaipa, there's the bigger town called Redlands. And they were having their local beauty pageant. And Keith, my boyfriend, said, I think you should enter that. And I wasn't going to, because I was not looking to be in any kind of beauty pageant, given that I already kind of felt tall and awkward and shy. I didn't want to get on stage in a bathing suit, if anything, forget about it. But I did want to get on stage and sing, because that little voice inside of me was like, you can do this. Because when I was a little girl, I'd watch the musicals on television, and I would get the inside roll of the toilet paper, and that was my microphone. And I'd stand on the hearth of the fireplace, and I would sing along with Doris Day and Frank Sinatra, and I thought, I can do this. And so I entered the pageant. Lo and behold, I became Miss Redlands, and I didn't know that that was a preliminary pageant to Miss California, and subsequently Miss America. So I won Miss Redlands, and I decided I would sing a torch song. Because when you're 17 years old from Yucaipa, California, you feel so much to torch about. So I sang, Since I Fell for You, You made me leave my happy home. You took my love and now you're gone. Since I fell for you. So 17 years old. I was a little string bean because I was a car hop at the NWFFest at the time.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, so I was out there hustling, getting tips, serving teen burgers, mama, papa burgers. So I was this skinny little girl, and I decided that, because you had to wear a suit for your interview. And so I bought this suit with the stripes so that this was vertical. And so and then I had my hair the size of, the mountains. And then I had a little hat perched on top. I looked like a Q-tip. And I had never plucked my eyebrows in my life, so I had like a unibrow. So fortunately, the judges were looking for potential. And they happened to see some. And I won Miss Redlands, and then I realized that I was on my way to the Miss California pageant in Santa Cruz, California. And so the pageant officials got me ready for the pageant. They plucked my eyebrows, brushed out my hair, and got me a cute little dress. And off I went to the pageant, and I became Miss California, 1969-70.
In fact, we have a picture we'd love to share.
I think I might still have that crown.
All right, well, while they pull that up, then you sang again at that pageant as well.
I did.
Look at that.
Oh my God, that was my first real portrait. I saw your high school picture.
The next photo as well.
It's so cute. That's such a big. Would you ask me? I was so taken with myself.
As we all tend to be at times. Here we go. There's the other photo.
Oh, so she was a former Miss America, Deborah Bryan. And so there I am, the night that I got my crown. And I have such a memory of that night, mostly my dad. My dad, Wally, was a detective and a deputy first. And so Daddy had a badge, you know, and I won, and they wouldn't let anybody backstage. And my dad, he was not going to not be with his little girl. So he flashed his badge, and I'll never forget standing up there in the spotlights. I was just flabbergasted. And when I saw my daddy's face coming through the crowd, I was like, Dad! He got there, you know, and I will never, ever forget that. And there's a really cute picture, I wish I had it to share, of my dad embracing me, and the two of us like, what's going on? I don't know.
Yeah.
That night, my life changed, and subsequently theirs. Yeah.
Just a few years before that, so this would have been somewhere around 1963, you made your first trip to Las Vegas. From Yucaipa on a bus.
Yep.
And that would turn out to be a trip that you would always remember, because little did you know you would wind up
here, tonight.
Really here. Not only tonight, but performing on thousands of stages here in Las Vegas.
It was so interesting, JJ, because my grandmother's best friend, Eloise Hilliard, she was such a dear lady, and she was really good to me, and she was my godmother. I was 13 years old, and she gave me this summer trip. It's called the Touring Teens. And so we traveled by Greyhound bus all throughout the United States and parts of Canada. So one of the first stops leaving California was Las Vegas, and I'll never forget pulling in town. So 1963, most of you weren't born, but for those of you who remember, the strip, I don't know if you have images of how it was then, but the strip, I had never seen that much neon in my life. And we were driving down Las Vegas Boulevard, and I remember the Thunderbird, and the Dunes Hotel, and just these lights everywhere, and then these names on marquees, and 13 years old, I was like, this is like, it just blew my mind, that much, you know, neon and excitement. And so we spent the night, I think in the gymnasium somewhere in sleeping bags, headed out the next day. And then who would have ever thought that all these years later, that I live and work here, and this town has come to mean so much to me.
Yeah.
And my husband, yeah.
Absolutely. Back to after winning Miss California, and then actually you went on to be the second runner-up for Miss America.
Second runner-up to Miss America, and part of what was great about that is that I was invited to join. Hey, we're working up here.
Hey.
I was invited to join Miss America to go to Vietnam and entertain the troops.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I was over there, and I still hear from some of the guys. Wow. Now the beauty of the internet, the good part of it is when people find you that you do want to hear from, and that they made it home, because some of them, like I said, I was 17, 18 years old, so they were my age. You know, we were over there in Vietnam, and we would be dancing there was one part where the guys would come up and we'd dance with them, and that's when they would hand you a note and say, please give this to my wife, or send this to my mom, or here's my medal, I want you to take it. And it was an honor and a privilege, and yes, and I do hear from those fellas.
Wow, that's incredible. Your career literally took off very quickly. I mean, you were found, you were discovered, you were working in the variety world as a singer, as an actress, quite quickly. What do you remember as being the job that really kind of launched you into show business?
Well, you know, I would have to say there's a few levels to it. The first big job that I got, commercials were my breakthrough. Commercials were really big. And when I became the Muriel Cigar spokeswoman, Edie Adams, I don't know if anybody remembers who Edie Adams was, but she had this great, you know, association, she and her husband, Ernie Kovac, with Muriel Cigars, and it was time for her to retire. They were looking for a new spokesperson, and they narrowed it down to 3 girls, and they had this national campaign election, and the American people literally voted for who they wanted to be Edie's successor. And I was voted in by a landslide because I think my mom really stuffed it out of us. She was out there campaigning like I was running for something big, and I was. And so I got that commercial. The Muriel Cigar commercial was a big deal. And I was on the NFL morning with Jimmy DeGreek and Brett Musburger, and so, and Phyllis George. That's where the commercials would play. And there was one commercial that really caused a big stir because CBS banned it from playing on their network because they said it was too suggestive. Can you imagine? Now this is back in...
Susan, what did you do?
I mean, you know what I did? I wore a full-length gown into a locker room, and I lit the cigar of a tennis player. Oh my God.
Shocking, like today.
Shocking. I did sit on his lap. And I guess it was just my natural beingness that was too much. But look where we are today. Right? Look where we are today. But it ended up being great because it got a lot of notoriety, and subsequently I was on all the talk shows.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the second layer of what happened, to help get things launched were the commercials, and then the talk shows, and Merv Griffin.
Merv Griffin?
Merv Griffin.
You were on the show
Like
over
almost
30
every
times.
week.
Oh my
He
gosh.
had me on all the time, and from there, and then there was Johnny Carson, Dinah Shore, everybody. But Merv Griffin was really in my corner, and so Fred Silverman, who was the president of ABC at the time, was a big fan of Variety, and he saw me on Merv's show, signed me to the deal at ABC, and then when he went to NBC, he signed me to the deal at NBC. And then, and then from there, it was just movies and whatnot.
I would imagine there's an entire set of stories just from those nights on Johnny Carson and Merv Griffin on their own because you were there, and then there was other guests there as well.
Yeah.
And this must have been incredibly exciting.
It was so,
at that time.
The thing that really would blow my mind is like the first time I met Frank Sinatra. When I was a little girl watching these musicals on television, my absolute favorite was Young at Heart, with Frank Sinatra, Gig Young, Doris Day, and I had such a mad crush on Frank Sinatra. I just, and so here you cut years later, like the Las Vegas Strip, and now all of a sudden I'm working with Frank Sinatra on a tour around the United States in 1984, I think it was. And so you have to pinch yourself when you're on these talk shows and you're sitting there and there's Burt Reynolds. And then years later I did a movie with Burt Reynolds and, and Dinah Shore. And I mean, you're just kind of, these are people that you watched as a kid growing up. And now you're sitting there and you're kind of like, I'll tell you the funniest story of all. This is jumping way ahead, but I can tell you this one. Because the first year I did a Broadway show and I was asked to be a part of the Tony Award cast. And so they assigned me my dressing room at the theater for rehearsal. And I went down to the dressing room, and those of you that know theater, it was Jessica Tandy, Colin Dewhurst, and the third one, with Maureen Stapleton, and then me. I'm going, what's wrong with this? This makes no sense. These legendary women and me. So you have to pinch yourself over and over again in situations like that. Yeah. Incredible.
Let's talk, can we back to Frank Sinatra for just a moment, because I don't know if anyone else is like, but can we hear just a tidbit of a Frank Sinatra story?
I'll tell you one of the really great ones that touches my heart. So I was on tour with him for about a year, and it was when the Olympics were in Los Angeles. And AT&T was doing a whole concert series where they sponsored the torch from the time it got lit across the United States, making its way to the Olympic Stadium. And so the concert series was myself, George Burns, the group America, David Brenner, and Frank Sinatra. And so we were in San Francisco. And my mom was a Bobby Soxer, so I flew Mom and Dad up. I said, you have to meet Sinatra. And so there we were at the press gathering for photographs. And they wanted a photograph of my mom and dad and everybody, the cast of all of these amazing people. So my mom and dad, very shy and quiet, they're on the end of the line. So this long line of people. Frank and I are in the center. And before the photographer takes a picture, he said, stop, stop, stop. And he stepped out of the line and he walked all the way over to the end. He got my mother and he brought her back, put her dead center. He said, a lady never stands on the end. And that was Sinatra. He always saw everything that was going on. If you were at his party and your glass was empty in that corner, it wasn't empty long because he had somebody over there taking care of it. He saw everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neat. Can we, while we're on the subject of legends, you worked with Tom Jones quite a bit.
Yes, Tom Jones. He was, and is. I think, in my opinion, he's one of the really, truly great singers ever. The man has, I don't know, vocal cords of iron. But he's also incredibly sexy. And I was surprised, and that's happened to me like 2 or 3 times, because sometimes when somebody has such a powerful sex image, it's like, what's so special about that? And then you're with them, you go, oh, I see.
You just radiate.
I get it now. You know, and part of it is because they're so present.
Yes.
You know, they're actually with you.
Yes.
Yes.
I do know.
So gentlemen, take note. Be with the woman you're with. Yes. You know, really be interested in her and how she thinks and what she cares about. You know, there's nothing better. And then, you know, so he would just look at me. It was like I was the only person in the room.
Wow.
You know, so we did quite a few things together. And I loved it because vocally he was a real good match for me.
Yes.
Because he's like, you know, blue-eyed soul, I'm blue-eyed, brown-eyed soul, and we've got these big voices, and so, you know, one of my favorite songs that I do with him, something's burning, and I think it's love. And it's so cool, we're just sitting there, you know, and he starts off with that Tom Jones voice. You lie in gentle sleep beside me.
Yeah. Was that live on stage? Do you remember what hotel you were in?
Yeah, Caesar's Palace.
Caesar's
Palace. Back in the old days, you know, now it's the Coliseum and all that grand stuff. But that was the Circus Maximus. Was the room.
I was blown away at how many shows you were a part of in Las Vegas. Could you just give us a little bit of a
Well, you know, it's interesting, JJ, because back then, if some people remember, there were a handful of female headliners, but mostly the women were the opening acts for the men. And so I was the opening act for everybody from, you know, like I said, George Burns, to Ben Vereen, to Lou Rawls, the comedians Shecky Green and Alan King and Bob Newhart, and oh God, the list is so long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, there's some advantages to being an opening act, right? I mean, you get to go home at 8 o'clock or so. And also, you're meant to kind of lift the crowd up, so there's a sense of excitement.
You know, I loved it. I loved it. And I'll tell you what was really one of my favorite people that I ever worked with as his opening act was one of the first really big shows that I had when I was Sammy Davis Jr.'s opening act at Harrah's in Tahoe. And I'll never forget getting the call from my agent, and the commercials had just started kind of percolating and things were kind of breaking. And I got this call from my agent at William Morris. Said, you have an offer to work up at Harrah's to be an opening act. I go, oh, okay, good. He said, because I'm a huge Sammy Davis Jr. fan. One of the first shows I ever saw in Las Vegas was Sammy Davis Jr. at the Sands with Mel Torme. And it was New Year's Eve. And it was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen in my life. I'm sorry for anybody that never got to see Sammy. And if you do yourself a favor, go home and find everything you can on YouTube and see what true entertainer is all about. So I was asked to be his opening act, and it was just thrilled beyond belief. And I got to rehearsal, and I was really excited. 42-piece orchestra. Oh my God. Back in the day, you had a string section. This was amazing. And he stayed for my rehearsal. He came to say hello and welcome me to the show. Hey, welcome, kid. And I said, he said, is there anything you need? And I said, well, I could use some advice. And he said, okay, shoot. I've been around a while. And so I said, I'm really nervous. I mean, can you give me any advice about, you know, how to go about this tonight? He said, there's only 3 things you have to remember. The first thing is go out there and give them everything you got, right? Second thing, do the very best you can. And the third thing, and this is the most important thing for you to remember, they didn't come to see you anyway. You have no idea who I am. You're so right. I'm the opening act, and it was so cute because it totally took the pressure off of me. And you know, Sammy was like, I don't know, 5'2", I'm 5'11", and then I had on heels. So I would finish my last song, and I had the microphone here. So, and he, you know, so then I leave, and the microphone's left there. And so Sammy comes walking in to do his whole opening thing, and of course he's so smart, he knows. He goes up to the microphone, he's like, he goes, and looks up at the microphone, and I'm in the wings thinking, oh shit, I'm so fired. You know? Because I apologized to him, and when he got off stage, and he said, are you kidding? Don't touch that. Leave that in, it's perfect. And so then I started, when I would do my last number, I had the microphone, and so I would start undoing, and I'd make it a little taller. So by the time the gig ended, I was Will Chamberlain, you know.
That's beautiful. Just to be nostalgic for a moment, so, you know, up in Tahoe and on stage here at Caesars with Tom Jones, I would imagine it was, are we getting a little feedback there? Here we go.
That's not feedback.
Right. I would imagine you were in like a dinner room, weren't you?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Do you miss that? Because I have,
Yes.
I caught a bit of the tail end of that, and I miss that.
Yeah.
That sort of, well, and I think I'm projecting a little bit, that glamour, there was more glamour.
There's no doubt about it. I remember, people came to a showroom back then. It was, you dressed up, the women were, you know, looked beautiful, the men were always in suit and ties, and you could look out into audiences occasionally now, and you just see people in baseball hats and, you know, shorts and whatever. So it was an elegant night out. It was a big deal, and there's something about that I think is important for us all to, you know, to represent ourselves our best, and not be so casual about showing up kind of sloppy. Yeah, it's great to be comfortable and all of that stuff, and I'm the first one that gets on my sweatpants the second I get home. But I think it's important that we represent ourselves our very best when we're out and about and whatever we're doing. You know?
No, I can appreciate that. It's a different mode of being. It's a heightened mode of being, and you behave differently.
You absolutely do, and people will treat you differently and take you more seriously.
Oh boy, is that true?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sitting in the booth, you know, and he's getting towards the end to do the American trilogy, and the theater doors to the back of Circus Maximus open up. Elvis is standing there. He walks into the room, and everybody goes crazy, as you can imagine. And he went down on stage with Tom, and together they sang the American trilogy together, you know. Oh, I wish you know the song, you know, because that was Elvis's big signature. And the two of them bow, everybody's going crazy. We go back to the dressing room. And so I'm invited to go back. Talk about craziness. So here I am back there with all these guys. They're bodyguards. I didn't know about bodyguards. And more and more people, and Elvis is doing karate chops and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God. And because I'm like, you know, I'm all of like 22 years old. And Elvis says, let's take this party over to my place. And Tom and everybody, they say, okay. So we go, now we're going over to the Hilton, and we're up in the big penthouse where Elvis lived. And I'm up there with my friend Pat, and completely out of my league. And Elvis comes over to me and says, I want to show you something. And I'm like, no, I've seen those movies. This is
I'm telling you, she was very ahead of her time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a cop's kid. I'm like,
got that.
No, Mr. Presley, I'm not going with you anywhere. And my friend Pat said, no, go ahead, it'll be okay, go ahead. And I said, okay. So he takes my hand, yeah, predictable. We go down the hall, and then we go into the bedroom. And I'm going, no. And then he said, wait, and then there was this red velvet throne of a chair. And he said, sit down. I said, okay. So I sat down on the chair. Little footstool there, and I looked around the room and I saw there was shelves of books, and there were teddy bears, and there were all kinds of memorabilia from fans and awards, and he really had made it a home. And I thought, I don't know where this is going, and the next thing I know, Elvis has pulled a book off his shelf, and he came over and he sat on the little footstool, and he started reading to me Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. Just like a child would, but you know, when you follow with your finger. And I saw this beautiful man who was such a prisoner of his fame, just as this little boy learning to read, and this book captured him. So he signed that book, and he gave that book to me, and he said, this is for Susan, I wish you a life of love. And he gave me that book, and that was the night. So years later go by, and I'm doing a Broadway musical called All Shook Up, which was all the music of Elvis Presley. And we were touring, we were in Memphis, Tennessee. So we decided to go see Graceland. And so we go down around Graceland, and we get to the part where Elvis's office is, and there on the desk is Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. And it was a full circle moment. So that's my Elvis story. He was a sweet, sweet man. Yeah. And that was the night I met him. Yeah.
Wow, what a story. Oh my gosh. That is so exciting. Let's see what we have next in that queue.
Oh my God.
Oh yes. Another gentleman to talk about.
Yes, well.
I feel like I should ask Jeff's permission. Jeff, can we talk about past boyfriends?
Yes, and Andy Warhol and I were tight.
Yes.
No,
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone and I dated, well, we were together for about a year and a half. And this was the unveiling of Sly's Andy Warhol portrait in New York City. So that's that night. And
you mentioned to me Stallone was incredibly funny.
People
don't know.
People have no idea that he's got a wicked sense of humor. He's a very smart man. You know, I think a lot of people know that now, but back in the day, because Rocky, he embodied Rocky so well, and he put him on the screen, that people thought that that was him, that was Sly. But brilliant, brilliant mind, very, very funny. And you know, if I bumped into him today, I think we would probably just have a lot of giggles.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we have. I'll tell you, here's a quick story. None of them are quick, but you'll like it.
A good one.
So while I was dating Sly, we had a place out in Malibu, and one of our neighbors was Barbra Streisand. She was with John Peters at the time. And Barbara was getting ready to do a movie called Main Event. And so she would come over all the time because she wanted to hear all about boxing from Sly. How did you shoot this? How did you do that? You know, because she's a consummate filmmaker. One of the first women, yay, Barbara, right? Speaking of women in film. And so Sly had gone up to San Francisco to promote a movie that he was doing. And I was in the shower getting ready, because I was going to catch a plane and go up. And we had, it wasn't like a big palatial house, it was kind of a cool beach house thing. And so there was a door, back door, where the bathroom was, where I was showering. And I'm in the shower, soap in the hair and everything. I hear this knocking. Susan! Susan, it's Barbara! I'm like, she's Barbara. Barbara Streisand! I go, I'm in the shower. So I get out of the shower, open the door, there's Barbara Streisand. I just wanted to come by and see if you and Sly wanted to come over. I said, no, he's good. I got to finish this. So that's
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Wow, what's your impression of her nowadays?
You know, I appreciate her
How do you remember?
so much. She's always been true to herself. You know, way back, I mean, if you think about when she came on the scene and the agents were like, you should do something about that nose, but she celebrated it. She always was so true and is true to herself, and she, puts her muscle behind what she believes in, and she's just one of the brilliant, brilliant talents of all time, and I think highly underrated as a filmmaker. I thought the work when she directed Prince of Tides and Yentl, she did brilliant work. And if that work was out there today, a female director, she'd probably be getting a lot more notice. But we have made strides, fortunately. But she's a real champion of women filmmakers. Yes.
So your career has evolved. I know we love to dwell on the 60s and the 70s and the 80s because there's so much fun in there and it's nostalgic. But let's fast forward to today because you have some really exciting things going on. You became a filmmaker in your own right.
I did. My husband Jeff and I, we came here to Las Vegas 3 years ago, something like that. I was doing a show with the Radio City Rockettes at the Flamingo Hilton, and I agreed to do it for a year, thinking that that'd be about all I would want to do. And in that meantime, my husband Jeff had been an actor, but he was getting ready to launch his career as a director. And during that year, he realized that this town needed a production studio that could do good quality commercials. And so we opened Big Picture Studios. And here we are, 23 years. Big Picture Studios is 22 years old. And one of our early projects was a short film that I produced that Jeff wrote with his friend Rudy Gaines and starred Academy Award winner Billy Bob Thornton, who's a great friend of Jeff, and went on to win lots of awards. So that was my first dabble into behind the camera. And then a little bit later, we did a documentary. I don't know how many of you know who Amy Purdy is. Amy Purdy is a Las Vegas gal who had both of her, she's a snowboarder, but she lost both of her legs due to an illness. And she now is a Paralympic medalist. And she came in second on Dancing with the Stars on her beautiful gliding legs.
Wow.
You know, so I did a documentary called The Speed of Life that I produced and Jeff directed. So I've been doing a lot of things behind the camera.
Yes, and you'll be stepping in front of the camera again for a new video podcast that is happening in Los Angeles. That's pretty exciting. It's called She Angels.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly actually fits into the theme tonight because it is supporting female entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's like Shark Tank for women. All women back it up. It's all women entrepreneurs backing up women with a vision and an idea. And my good friend Catherine Gray, who is the host of Karma 360, Live, Love, Thrive. You should check out her. Google Karma 360 and you'll love her show. So Catherine Gray and her wife, Deborah, started She Angels, and they got a panel of entrepreneurs. I think there were 7 women for the initial rush, like Kim Gold, who founded True Religion Jeans, and Barbara Lazaroff, who's the Wolfgang Puck Empire, and our good friend Catherine Curry Williams, who founded Shane's Inspiration, which is a foundation that creates inclusive playgrounds globally. She and her husband lost their child at birth, and so Shane would be 22 now, and they're refurbishing, they're opening up another, but they're global. And so these women who have accomplished great things heard the pitch of these, about 30 women got up in front of the panel and pitched their ideas, and then 5 of them were selected, and 3 of them got funded by these women. And so this is a series that follows their year. And they got mentored, and and these women are on fire with their products. It's really fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's She Angels, and it'll be launching this summer. So I encourage you all to check it out. It'll be on YouTube.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Where all good content is headed.
Yeah.
YouTube, Netflix, right? Spa Girl, can we finish with cocktails and then we'll open it up to questions?
Let's do that. Spa Girl cocktails. Oh, it's fantastic. You know what? You guys can go to the store and you can buy it. You can get it at Albertson, you can get it at Total Wine, you can get it at, it's at Lee's. It's my girlfriend, Karen Hayes, in Palm Springs, California. She was celebrating her daughter's 21st birthday, and they were at this little poshy hotel, you know, so Karen is the consummate hostess, and she was making cucumber martinis for the girls. And everybody around the pool wanted one. And she said, you know, I think I can do this. And so without any background in the spirits industry, this little bit of a woman who's just dynamic as all get out, decided to take on the spirits industry. So this is a woman who's self-taught, built a brand, and has gone from, you know, when I met her, we didn't even have a bottle. We just had samples. And now we have bottles on shelves throughout California, Nevada, just about in every state. And I'm the brand ambassador. And it's just been such a thrill to be a part of a woman watching her achieve her dreams, go after them in a male-dominated industry. So it's a low-calorie, organic, all-natural vodka that you guys must check out. There's cucumber and pear, and it's delicious.
And it's selling because we've been checking up. We've been checking on the.
Yeah.
So Susan's actually gone in and asked the stock people, like, how's it selling? And it's really, it is fun at the shop. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. People can obviously keep in touch with you on all social media platforms.
You know, I have a couple of them. I have obviously my website, which I keep things kind of posted. Our young assistant does. I'm so bad with all this. But we do have a Facebook page, and I'm trying to get into the
You're
other
great.
stuff.
You emailed me, you texted me.
I'm good about that.
You're happening. Yeah, don't throw yourself
I'm good
under the
about
bus.
that.
Any questions from the audience? at this time. Any questions for Susan?
What's the hardest lesson that you've learned in your career?
Hardest lesson I've learned in my career is really to be true to yourself. To, you know, to not sell yourself out or short. I think if I could go back and do anything over, it would be to not be so desperate to please everybody, or to think that everybody knew better than I did what it was that was right for me. It took me a long time to get that the only thing that I have to offer to this industry or to this planet is to be the most complete me I can possibly be. And it's the same thing when it comes to craft. You know, you don't want to look like anybody else or be like anybody else. Or, you know, you want to be that unique individual that you are, because that's your gold. That is it. And so that's the biggest thing I've learned.
So I think it's really exciting that you moved to Las Vegas like 20 plus years ago, and I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you see personally as the differences like between the Los Angeles entertainment market and between Las Vegas, and maybe what you see as some of the advantages or disadvantages here in Las Vegas.
Well, I think the advantages of Las Vegas are that, listen, somebody stood out in the desert and imagined this place. You know, my mother-in-law used to say, isn't it amazing what they're able to build because of air conditioning?
Right.
And so I think, and you look around you, if I look at just from the time in 1963 or whatever, when I was a little girl and I came here to today, the growth and the growth and the growth and the growth, and you think it's never going to stop, and you think it is going to stop, and it just keeps going and going. And now what's wonderful is that it's expanding into so many other arenas. It's not just gaming. You know, it's technology and filmmaking and production. So I think that Las Vegas is like, just like mining for gold back in the day. I think that dreams can really have a shot at happening here. Not that they can't happen in LA, but it's a very, very crowded field.
Yes.
You know, it's like New York, LA. And the other thing that's really great is Vegas has become a real conversation. It's not just, oh, Las Vegas, you know, velvet posters and, you know, all, you know, Elvis songs. It's no, every major award show comes here. You look at the headliners on that strip. Those are current big artists that are coming here that they want their residencies. This is not like where you go to retire. This is where you come to make something happen. And so I think that it's fantastic that this is the 5th year of the Nevada Women's Film Festival. Because, yeah. It really is, because women are incredibly entrepreneurial, and I think that the support that we have for one another here, because it was such an all-boys town for so many years, you know, but we've got a female mayor, and we're like, you know, and she's rocking it. So, and look at our senators and all the women that just got elected to office. So, I think Las Vegas is an endless opportunity, and I think that anything you can dream up here, you can make happen here. And people are here to support your vision.
I'm wondering if you think the film industry here will continue to expand, because it's been through a couple of bumps in the road with the tax credits, but I've mentored a number of young filmmakers that really want to stay here and work here, and there's not enough work yet.
Unfortunately, there isn't enough work yet, and you're absolutely right. It's kind of had a stop, start, stop, start. You know, when we had the tax credit and some production tried to come here, I think until we really address our production facilities, and we get somebody that can really, that has influence, power, wealth, to build that vision, because people want to come here to work. They want to come here to work for a lot of reasons. And Los Angeles is incredibly expensive to work there. So I think that what we need is a really, really seductive facility. I mean, heck, we can build a football arena to get a football team here. We can sure as heck build a wonderful production studio, and I think that's all that's missing. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know if it was Q&A or not. So you're talking about like getting that kind of appeal. I know that in the I've been doing this for 5 years now. I've done like some background editing, PA work and everything. unfortunately, all of it is here is either Bollywood or bad Hollywood sequels. And do you think there's like a serious potential for like good, real, independent film here in Las Vegas?
I don't see why not. I really don't. I think that, you know, that's the heart of a filmmaker. It's you. I mean, if you look at some of the things that have broken through with independent film, it's always, I mean, we've got a film that we've been in love with for 10 years. It requires endless passion and commitment. It doesn't happen overnight. And you've got to stay true to your story and not sell it out. But a great film, a great filmmaker can come from anywhere, from absolutely anywhere. Why not Las Vegas? So if your idea is good. And the thing that's really great today is that there are so many, I mean, look at this camera on this little tracker here, and this one over here. You don't need to have a fortune, and you can get your iPhone. People are making things. It's like, make your movie. Yeah, make your movie. Don't have a, you know, Tom Hanks had the greatest thing. He said, do you want your dream or do you want your excuse? What do you choose? Because when you choose your dream, the excuses are gone.
And that's why he's Mr. Rogers now.
That's right. You know, and it's an important thing to ask yourself whenever you're thinking about putting a dream down. Are you going to buy the excuse or are you going to stay with your dream? Because they're possible. Pull out your phone, take a picture, post it. People are watching.
Is there a goal that you've set that you haven't quite hit yet that you're still striving for?
Oh, wow. You know, I never really set any goals. I find that I've allowed life to show me where my next step is, and I try to just keep putting the next step forward and listening to my gut, like I've said, to go like, I really want to go there, I really want to do that. I don't have one currently, but I know that one will come on the horizon one day when I'm out walking. It's going to hit me like that, and I'm going to know that's what I want to do. And I don't usually take a passionate move, until I know it's something that I want to do, because I know what's required to go after it. You have to really want it. Yeah.
Take one last question over here.
Hi again.
Hi, honey.
I'm from the years that you're talking about when you performed and everything. I got to enjoy that. I'm a native of Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah.
And my first jobs were here. But again, in order to expand initially, I had to go away, Europe, New York, and everywhere else. But I do know that Nicolas Cage, through a sound studio here, I'm watching Vegas. I just recently moved back. I'm watching Vegas become the New York and the LA without all the expense. Looking at what you and your husband, what was the name of your company?
Big Picture Studios.
Big Picture Studios?
Like get the
I want to say thank you because again, coming back to Las Vegas after being gone for so long and working everywhere else, the thing that I have that I want to ask of you, my question is, with the expansion that you're taking and with Nicholas and all of them, are you guys merging or are you working together? Or is it still separate entities that we could possibly bring together?
Well, we definitely work with everybody. You know, like Levy Productions, Mike Levy and his company, and my husband Jeff and Big Picture Studios. There's Jeff could probably answer that question better than I do, since he's in the studio, you know, a lot more than I am. But I think that there's a great compatibility. You know, because we have found that in our 20+ years of our company that we know the areas that we can excel in. And when Jeff has a project, a commercial or something to shoot, and he knows that he needs, you know, something that he knows Mike Levy has that they can provide, or Mike knows that he needs a great director, and he'll call and ask Jeff to come in and be a part of his projects. So we have found it to be very compatible and supportive, and not competitive. Yeah.
So is there a way to reconnect, again, with me just coming back, is there a way to reconnect, you know, the Susan Antons, the Susie Lanes, the JJ, put us back together again?
That I don't, you know, I think, if I would say that right here's a good beginning. I think that
get out of the house.
Yeah, and at the Nevada Women's Film Festival, get involved with this organization, because these women are involved in the very thing that you love and do, and it's a matter of, once you start having a conversation with a group that gets bigger and bigger, the next thing you know, somebody knows somebody who can say, I know just who you need to meet. And so I think you need to open up your circle, become a part of this incredible organization perhaps, since you're in the industry, And I think that could be a good beginning. You have to, it's like if you're shopping for shoes, you don't go to the meat market. You go to a shoe store. You know, so if you're shopping for relationships in the industry, start with the Nevada Women's Film. Yeah.
Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you, JJ.
I believe right now we have something else lined up here.
I want to say that my past year as the reigning Miss Woman of Achievement has just been wonderful, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Susan, I think one of your achievements that I'm most envious of, in fact I'm in awe of, is that you can still wear high heels.
Only on special occasions, trust me.
Ah, there you go. But what impresses me is not just your achievements in the past, because you know, we can all look up your resume and go on your website and see just the amazing things you've done. But what I love is your achievements right now, which is you are still a fabulous, vibrant woman who is involved in the community, who is giving back.
Thank you.
So that to me is a big achievement.
Thanks.
To keep being...
You want to sit down? Sit
well,
down.
okay. Yes. So actually, since we're stalling a little bit, I actually worked with Susan a long time ago. I was just starting out my design career, and I was asked to design a play called A Couple of White Chicks Sitting Around Talking. And Susan was cast, only 2 people in the cast, I think.
Yeah, there was just 2 women, myself and Elizabeth Ashley. And she was Handmaid Bindler, and I was Maud, and Maud was an uptight woman, and I think you had me in, like, you know, khaki chinos, or, you know, the chino pants, and the button shirt, and, you know, and the belt, and the long jeans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because my character was, like, fastidious. And Hannah would come in and just, you know, like a cyclone.
Yeah.
And tear everything up.
And then, oh yes, she was, yeah. And as the play progressed, the story is obviously that eventually some of the chaos of Hannah's life, you know, affects you, and you both get a little wild and crazy, I seem to remember.
No, it was great. It was a fun show to do. And I tell you, when you're doing a 2-character play and the other character isn't completely there that night, it's a little scary. Because you know, the other character, she, you know, Elizabeth, and she'd be the first to tell you, sometimes she liked a couple cocktails before a show. And it worked fine for her character. Because her character was, woo! You know, my character was, no. And so Elizabeth, I could tell, I could look at her in the eyes when she came on stage, I go, oh no, it's going to be one of those. And, you know, she literally knocked over the refrigerator and went, and so my character, Satan character, like, oh Hannah, you're such a bad girl. You know, so putting the refrigerator back. It was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for?
Well, we're waiting for your award, which is in Nikki's trunk.
Are they minting it? I mean,
no, it's downstairs in Nikki's trunk, and as soon as I see her, but anyway, I hope you enjoy and appreciate getting this award, because you are deserving, so deserving, and continue the good work.
I can't wait. Anticipation.
Here you are. It's beautiful. Don't drop. You're my turn.
Well, when Nikki asked if I would come, I said yes. I was completely flabbergasted and flattered, and thrilled to be here, and thrilled to be a part of the Nevada Women's Film Festival organization. But I want to thank my friends. because it's the friends that come to support you. My husband, Jeff, and Julie Nyman. Jeff is my musical director, brilliant musician, if you guys are looking for brilliant music. And Julie is a whiz with business. And then Jenny was out there somewhere. So I want to support the people that came, that I've seen along the way, and have loved me and supported me, because without all of you, I can't do any of this. So thank you.
We're about to have a toast here. And look at that beautiful, beautiful award.
Raise your glasses, a toast to Susan Anton.
Susan
I'll drink to
Anton,
that. Thank you.
Cheers.